Let's talk about Gus Yalden and that steak level juicy 2024 football schedule. Let's go.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, Badger fans? Welcome to Locked On Badgers, your team every single day. Really do appreciate you tuning in, helping us build this community. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for everything, for helping us just build this group of Badger fans up together. I'm your host, Ryan Herrings, and again, thank you for jumping in. We're gonna start. Let's talk about Gus Yalden, right? Because this is a big story. There's two elements to this I kind of want to talk about. There's a basketball element, and then there's just kind of the element of a person, right? I want to start with the basketball element because Gus Yalden, certainly one of your higher level recruits that have come into the program in a while, somebody that I certainly expected to play a pretty big role this year. I thought he would be the backup five. I thought he was part of the reason you didn't need to go out and get a transfer big because he would fill into that role. I felt pretty comfortable with it. I love his game. Still love his game. Like that hasn't changed. And it kind of became clear seeing practice that maybe Nolan Winter was a little ahead. Certainly Nolan Winter is further ahead than perhaps I thought he would be. So that is good. Maybe that's the backup five. But how does Gus not playing on the team this year, potentially not playing on the team this year, affect the rotation? I think it hurts Wisconsin because there is still depth issues and depth concerns in the front court. And as much as we can be, sorry, I'm still fighting through my voice. As much as we can be excited about Nolan Winter, breaking through, being more advanced than expected, having him and Gus Yalden. And again, I firmly believe that, if Yalden comes in and he doesn't have maybe an injury, I think he's right there in that rotation. Then you have two guys who can help give you more front court depth. That would have really helped. And now you're probably back to a situation where I guess you got to hope Marcus Silver's ready. You got to hope that Stephen Crowell can stay healthy and out of foul trouble, that Winter can come in and play against some of the bigger, more physical guys. That's an area where I think Yalden would have given Wisconsin's a little more strength, a little more positional rebounding in the post. So I think it does hurt the team this year. It leaves you a little shallower in the front court. And let's be honest, that's an area that we saw last year. That's an area that teams hurt us with last year when we didn't have really any front court depth. When Crowell was out, it was either, it really was basically go small, and you hope that guy like Gilmore can handle it. And I think we're better this year in that spot because Winter can probably give you a little bit more of that. Gilmore's a little bigger, so it should be better than it was last year. But I do think it impacts the rotations a little bit. It does make us a little shallower there. And I think, quite frankly, Yalden is the type of talent that just makes a team better. I think his competitiveness, his IQ, his skill, his footwork, his inside-outside game, I think all of that just makes the team better. So just from a talent standpoint, even as a freshman, I think we're a little less off because he's not going to be able to join the team right away. I think the front court depth is a little worse, but it is mitigated by the fact that Nolan Winter has come in and it looks like he's ready to go. So it's not as big of a blow if, let's say, Nolan Winter had come in and you're like, man, that dude's got a red shirt, and now we don't have Gus Yalden. And now you're really like, it's another year of Gilmore at the five as the backup five, and that's a problem. At least Winter's coming in and it looks like he's ready to go. So it's not as big an impact as I thought it would be, but I think it does hurt the team. It hurts the rotation. It hurts the depth. Let's talk about the other element to this, which is just the human element. And on that one, I would just urge everybody, no matter what happens, I don't have any inside info. And if I did, I wouldn't put any out. But I would just urge everybody to understand, have compassion, have empathy, right? Have, everybody's a person first, whether they're a student athlete, whether they're a student, whatever they are, they're a person first. So just put the best in your heart for Gus and hope that whatever it is that he's going through, whatever it is that's happening, it gets better. It works itself out. And I say that regardless of where he ends up. If he ends up at Wisconsin, incredible. I still have my dream fulfilled to be able to cheer for the Gus Bus for 4 years. But if at the end of the day, that's not what happens, who cares? As long as he gets right, like that's all I'd say. Because I've seen situations like this, and I haven't really seen much with this one, but I've seen fans start to speculate and start to throw stuff out there and unsubstantiated reports. I would urge everybody, just understand that it's a person first. I know we all root for athletes, and you kind of start, it's easy at times to look at them, at athletes in general, not as people first, but as your team first. And just understand, especially with college kids, college students, young student athletes, that there's a person there. So have empathy with it. Don't throw stuff out there. If you do hear something, I wouldn't put it out there even if you knew it. Just have empathy. Let's all hope that Gus, he gets better. Everything turns out and he comes back to his confidence. Incredible. And even if he doesn't, as long as he gets his stuff going in the right direction, whatever it is, that's all that matters. I can tell you, I was happy. I was able to get Gus Yalden on a show, an interview. He's incredibly genuine. I really enjoyed it. In all my brief conversations with him, just over Twitter or whatever it is, he's always come across to me as a really good dude, very appreciative, competitive, chip on his shoulder for sure. But so that's all I say. I wish all the best for Gus. Just keep that in your hearts. Hope the best for him. He's a good kid, really talented player still. So yeah, that's what I would say. I think it hurts the front court depth. And on the human side of it, just, I hope everything sincerely and completely works itself out and it's all good and we can see him back on the court of Madison. All right. That's that situation there. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about that absolutely mashed potato loaded 2024 football schedule. The toughest, what's the toughest grouping? What should the over under be set at? What about that home slate? Are you friggin' kidding me? We're going to talk about that next on Locked On Badgers. But first, a quick break for our friends at the show over at Game Time. Game Time is the number one source. If you're like me and you struggle making plans, and I just told y'all I got lost trying to find my car when I came back from the airport because it was lost in the parking garage. That's who I am. So Lord help me trying to plan out tickets years or months in advance, right? That's what Game Time is here for. No more crazy logistics to plan out. No more months ahead of trying to figure out the best price, the best ticket, the best seat. Game Time simplifies all of that. There's last minute flash sales, so you know you're getting the best price. They have pictures of the seats, so you know what exactly what's your vantage point. And it's for every venue. It's not, this is a sports podcast, but this is also for concerts, theaters, plays, whatever you want. Game Time is your place and your spot to land the absolute best tickets without exerting any mental brain power that some of us don't have to spare, like myself included. That's what I use Game Time for. Plus, flash sales guarantee you get the best prices. Snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Game Time. Today's episode also brought to you by Prize Picks. Listen, if you're like me, you love daily fantasy, but you cannot compete with the thousands of people in their nerdatoriums, crunching all their nerd numbers, where you have no chance. The sharks and the numbers whiz and the stats analysts, you have no chance playing daily fantasy against those legions of people. Prize Picks has fixed that, right? Prize Picks, it's just you and the stats. You pick between 2 and 6 players. That's it. And if their stats go over or under a certain number and you picked it, you win. It's as simple as that. Pick over or under on Braden Locke's passing yardage, over or under on Jackson Akers' rushing yardage, over or under on Will Pauling's receiving yardage. If you hit on those, you win. It's as simple as that. You're not competing against anybody else, just you against the stats. As simple as that. And it's quick. In and out in 60 seconds. I can't go into McDonald's and get coffee in under 60 seconds. You can do that on Prize Picks. Set your picks and the winnings roll in. It's quick, fast, easy, and secure. Prize Picks is the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports platform in North America for a reason. Go to prizepicks.com/lockdowncollege. Use code LOCKDOWNCollege for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/lockdowncollege. Use code LOCKDOWNCollege for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. All right, let's keep going here. I do want to remind everybody, we have a Locked On Badgers insider group over at Subtext. The banner's on the bottom if you want to sign up. It's just a place where we can have more one-on-one conversations. A little teaser here. There should be some, everybody loves Coach's Corner, the Coach Ryan Anderson show that we do every Wednesday. There's going to be some exclusive Coach's Corner content going to Subtext. There is going to be a newsletter coming up pretty soon. It was supposed to actually start this week, but COVID has wrecked me, guys. And I have, by the way, I have multiple DMs and messages from people that have gone unanswered, which I apologize for. I love y'all. I'm sick. But check out the Subtext. It is a free trial. It is a way to support the show if you like doing that. And it's not just a way to support the show. It's also a way that you're going to get more one-on-one conversations, more access to things that I'm not always able to put out on this platform. So definitely check it out if you're interested. Send me any questions if you're interested about it. All right, let's talk about that 24 football schedule. It is loaded. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see it on my whiteboard back behind me. But if you're listening to the podcast, we're going to talk about it either way. So you're going to start with Western Michigan South Dakota State, both at home. And then you get Alabama coming to Camp Randall. The fun thing with this schedule is it's like broken into threes. Every group of 3 teams on here has one heavyweight, right? So the first 3, it's Western Michigan, South Dakota State, Alabama. Then you have a bye. It's an early bye, and I don't love it. And then you're going to Ohio or USC. That's that next group of 3, right? That's the first group of 3. Your heavyweight in that first group of 3 is Alabama. That next group of your 3 in your schedule, you're going to USC, home game against Purdue, and then going to Rutgers. So that's kind of your next group of 3, highlighted by that road trip to USC. How much fun is that going to be? And then your next group of 3, you're going to Northwestern, home game against Penn State, roadie against Iowa. That's a tough stretch, right? 2 road games, one of them's Iowa, home game against Penn State. And again, anchored in that group of 3 is Penn State. Again, every block of 3 on this schedule has a heavyweight. And then you finish up with a home game against Oregon. Then you're going to go to Nebraska, finish up as always with Minnesota. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a loaded schedule. You've got 4 heavyweights. You got Bama, Penn State, Oregon, USC. You still have Iowa. You still have Nebraska. You still have Minnesota. That is a loaded schedule. I think the toughest stretch, I was just looking at it here. I think the toughest stretch is kind of that, it's hard. I don't know. This one's a tricky one. I may have to think about this one. When you watch the show in the comments, what do you think is the toughest 3-game stretch or even 4-game stretch of the season? I'm tempted to say it's that stretch with Northwestern, Penn State, and Iowa, because you're going to Northwestern, which has always been a troubling spot for Wisconsin. You're going to play in Kinnick, which was, listen, they don't have Brian Ferentz anymore next year, and that defense is always going to play. Kinnick's tough, and you get Penn State in the middle of that. That's a really tough stretch. Going to USC is hard for sure. It's tough. That home slate next year, you got Bama at home, Penn State at home, Oregon at home, Minnesota at home. That is a crazy good home slate. And let's really quickly, I want to finish up here on this show. What should the over-under for wins next year be? What would you set it at right now? Again, remember that Bama's on this schedule, USC, Oregon, Penn State, Iowa, Nebraska, Minnesota. You got to go to Northwestern. What would you set the win total at if you're Vegas right now for the Badgers? Is it 7.5? I mean, that sounds really low, but look at this schedule. You could easily, let's just run through it really quickly. Western Michigan, that's a win. South Dakota State win. Bama's probably a loss, so you're 2-1. USC at USC is probably a loss. You're 2-2. Purdue, we'll say win. Rutgers win. You're 4-2. At Northwestern, win. 5-2. Then you got Penn State. Coin toss. Let's say you win that one and you're 6-2. Then you go to Iowa and you lose that one. You're 6-3. Oregon could be a loss. 6-4. Beat Nebraska on the road, maybe. Nebraska's looked really good this year. If you win that one, so you're 7-4, then you got Minnesota at home to go 8-4, right? And that's with a win against Penn State and losses basically to Bama, USC, and Oregon, and at Iowa. That's a completely plausible path, by the way. 8-4 next year could be a much better Badger team and finish 8-4. That's a very plausible path. Now we got to see what Oregon is. We got to see what USC is. I don't think they're going to transition to the Big Ten as easily as their fans think they will, but those are still tough ass programs, right? Those are tough programs. Plus, you got a Bama and a Penn State in there. When was the last time Wisconsin's beaten Penn State? Right? What's the record in the last 10 years against that program? Like, it's not good. Does anybody think we're going to beat Bama? Probably not. It's tough, man. I would probably, if I'm Vegas, I'm probably putting the Badgers win total at 7.5. Let me know in the comments where you would put it and if you'd go over and under. With that, on Wisconsin, we're going to talk tomorrow. We got Brian Smith. People from the subtext submitted some questions there. That's going to be tomorrow. Plus, we'll probably do a live call-in show, assuming I continue to feel maybe incrementally better. We'll see. On Wisconsin, we'll talk tomorrow.